everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast, and of course, it is myself, the Philly sports guy, McLovin, and Stat Guy will sort of be in and out as he goes through a dead zone. How you doing, guys?
Wonderful. I had a day off for the first
well.
time in a while, so.
Oh, nice. Hey, every time you get one, it's like, oh, what is this?
I tell you, I was all ready to go to a game too. Like I was telling everybody, yeah, I got a Phillies game tonight, blah, blah, blah. Somebody called me up and they go, do you know the Phillies don't play tonight, right? And I'm like, really?
I like the excitement.
Hey, like Tua, I'm in concussion protocol, but unlike him, I passed it.
So yeah. I feel like there's a story here. Like first off, you end up in concussion protocol.
At baseball, I took a baseball bat to the back of the head at practice.
Dang. I mean, it explains a lot, but
it explains more than a lot.
What the hell was your head doing on the backside of a bat?
These are kids, right?
I was playing umpire, and on the pitch, the kid let go of the bat and got me in the backswing.
Did you at least put him in timeout?
No, I was more worried about if I was bleeding or if I needed stitches before yelling at the kid.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
How old was the kid?
10.
Wow.
Yeah, he's definitely going into timeout.
You can't really yell at him.
Yeah. No, that one's kind of understandable, I guess.
A little bit. So, but somebody else went into concussion protocol. But before he went into concussion protocol, he looked like he had a concussion before he even started playing because he stunk.
Oh, yeah. You know, the play that really stood out to me is he's going to get a sack, and rather than just take the sack, he just heaves it and hopes for the best. And in the NFL, that never works out. Ends up being an easy pick six. I mean, no one even remotely close. I know he was trying for the sideline, but I mean, at least try to throw to the sideline you're starting to fade towards. Throwing across the field with a high arc hoping is not a good way to go. And it's not like he has an arm like Josh Allen where he might be able to power through it. Like,
hell, even if you have to intentionally ground the damn thing, because intentional grounding is a hell of a lot better than a pick six.
I mean, yeah. Well, you were gonna be down where you were anyway. So yeah, an intentional grounding or a sack or either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, anything better. You could have just threw the damn ball at the damn ground. He'd have been better off than a pick six.
Well, I mean, yeah, everything is better than the pick six, right?
Until
later in the game when he decides to dive forward after picking up the first down already. So he could have still slid, but instead dives forward and absolutely gets crushed. You watch him drop his head, which is a great way to get hurt. And, as soon as you saw him go down, the first thought I had is best case scenario, this is a stinger, right? Like that's best case. And he's still probably going to miss the rest of the game. And, ends up being a concussion. So now he has some real decisions to make.
I mean, seriously, he has more decisions than just football. I mean, the guy had 2 or 3 concussions in 22. He's got 4 concussions by now. I mean, I think Aikman had like 8 concussions when he finally called it a career. And this guy's already halfway to Aikman, and he's only been in the league a handful of years.
Yeah, I think there was 3 official right now, but there's 5 that, look like they probably were. Because one of them, if you remember back in 22, they're like, oh, it was a back injury. But you're like, yeah, I mean, probably a concussion, not a back injury.
Well,
but
and plus, he had that one concussion that really was like that equaled 2 or 3.
Yeah,
that one where when your fingers start doing weirdo things, that's like a stage 2 concussion. That's not your normal everyday. Hey, I just got hit in the back of the head with a baseball bat concussion.
Yeah, and and the way that his head went left when he hit Hamlin's knee, I was just like, oh my god, that just doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, talk about ironic that it was Hamlin that took him out.
Yeah, of all people, right?
Yeah, I saw that as well. I was like, hold on, number 3, Well, at least he's back on the field.
Yeah,
The thing,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
thing with
no,
Tua,
it's,
the thing with Tua now though too is like everyone's saying like he's got a lot of decisions to make. If anyone should be forced to wear one of these Guardian caps, I think the NFL needs to step in and be like, Tua, you have got to wear one.
yeah, I mean, there's that. And if you're him, this decision gets a little bit easier to make because he just signed and has a lot of guaranteed money.
Yeah, he did.
So, like before, I get it. You hadn't made, life-altering money. Like he would still have to go find work after what he had made. Now, don't get me wrong, he had made millions of dollars before that, but he hadn't had like generational wealth type of stuff. Now, even if he were to be done today, like medically, they shut him down, he ends up walking away with what, 120 plus $1 million of the guarantee. So,
Something
I
like
mean,
that,
that
if you
is,
can't make your life work on 120 million, you got issues.
yeah, I feel like I could make the numbers bump together with, $100 million. Like, I think I could make that work.
Yeah, the fight would be out of me. I mean, the fight would absolutely be out of me. I'd be like, okay, I don't want to get concussions anymore.
Well, I mean, what the concussion that you were talking about, Pegs, when his hands like went all like sideways and all that weird stuff that came with it.
Yep.
I think there was a report that came out like right after that concussion where the doctor or the neurosurgeon said if he has one or two more concussions, he has to medically retire from the NFL. If that's accurate, this is either his last one, or he's got
one before the last.
or he's got one more left after this, and he's only being in his 5th year.
Yeah.
That's
No, exactly.
It's at the point now.
Thing, like how much CTE does this guy have in his brain? Junior Seau and all the other guys had quite a bit of CTE. Of course, you're not going to know that until they do until they cut your brain open and do a damn biopsy on it to know how much you actually have. I mean, it's how much CTE is in his brain already, and he's young. I mean, he is super young to really be dealing with that kind of trauma to the brain. I mean, at some point, if I'm in his family, I got to say, look, man, I know you want to do this NFL thing. You want to keep doing it, but you're young and we still need you. And so maybe you need to, for quality of life purposes, take the 120 million and let's just walk away and call it good because your life is worth way more than a damn football game.
Yeah. So the way the numbers break down, according to Sport Track, is if he's medically cleared to return, but opts to retire, he'll forego the 124 mil guarantee. His contract was 167 million guaranteed, 43 of which has already been paid. If he's medically forced to retire, then he will collect that 124 million remaining, right? Yeah. And then if and of course, if he retires, there may be a compensation settlement where he gets some of that money.
Yeah, he won't get the full 120, I don't think.
No, he wouldn't, but I would imagine that the team would probably do something. Right?
Well, here's what happens with that. He would, if he has to medically retire, they probably have insurance on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they do if they have to medically. It'll be the cap hit because the cap hit will still exist. So if let's see, if he is eligible to play and they decide to release him, they actually do get some cap relief out of that. If he retires or is released post 6-1, they'd have a dead cap of 83 that they'd split over 2 seasons. So, I mean, if they do have to move on for whatever reason, it'll really only be rough for him for 1 season. It would for next year, right? Like obviously this year, your team is already blown up to some degree, but it would basically only derail him for next year. So
there's not any cap relief for medically retired.
So not really. There's some, but it's not what you think it should be. It doesn't zero it out.
With Lonzo Ball's contract with the Bulls, he opted into his contract this year because he got medically cleared for 24 million or whatever, but he's missed 3.5 years now with that knee injury. If he would have not necessarily medically retired, but if there's a clause in the contract where if a player doesn't play X amount of games, you can terminate their contract and take it out as like a medical insurance claim or whatever.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball still would have got paid, I think 12 or 13 of that 20 million. The Bulls would have recovered 7 million. So essentially the player's still getting 65% of that.
I'm guessing he didn't get a CT scan. He's actually making more sense, so maybe it was a good hit.
Hey, I give the kid credit. It was a good swing.
But he let go of the bat.
We turned the pitching machine up yesterday, so they've been hitting like on 50 to 55 on the pitching machine like the last couple of weeks. And next week we face like an all-star team that's like super good at everything. They have a kid that can throw like 70. So I'm like, okay, well, we're going to turn the pitching machine up to like 60, 65, and none of the kids were hitting it. And all of a sudden this kid just rears back, hits a good line drive up the middle, and he swung so hard he let go of the bat.
I mean, if you stop calling balls strikes, maybe that doesn't happen.
Maybe he thought if he hit your head hard enough, your head would roll down
especially
one way.
on a machine. Why are you calling a machine? Are you catching for the machine?
I was umpiring and catching because the machine is set up where everything doesn't go down the middle.
Oh.
It's set up where some pitches can go inside, some can go like low and away, some can go up and away. It's made basically just to get the hitters like timing down and seeing what a pitch looks like at that speed, but they still have to have like the eye to know if it's a ball or a strike.
So is that just like an old wore out machine, or does it have a nozzle that moves?
It's like a thing where it's got a bucket of like 50 balls on the back of it, and then they go up into this tube, and then they go down and comes through the tube, but the tube's got like an arm that comes forward that makes it look like a pitcher's arm. So they'll take the ball out of the bucket, it'll bring it over the top, and then it shoots it down into the tube that sends it out the machine.
Interesting.
So they're essentially, once that arm moves forward with the ball, that's the equivalent of the pitcher releasing the pitch, and that's how they're getting their like hand-eye coordination and timing down.
Oh, that's interesting.
That actually
I've seen one like that before.
I want to see that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've always seen the one where it had the two wheels and the ball just comes out.
Yeah, but that's why it doesn't always come out as a strike, because if it grabs the ball on a different seam out of the bucket, that seam goes into the motor of the pitching machine, so it could come out like a two-seamer and come inside. It could come out kind of like a slider and go low and away. It's just more so to get the kids hand-eye coordination down at the time. The machine's set up at 40 feet, so at 65 miles an hour at 40 feet, it's going to be equivalent to be about 62 from the actual mound, because the mound is at like 48 feet, and you lose about 3 miles an hour every 8 feet. So at 65 miles an hour, they're like, this is what it looks like at 65. When we're out there on Sunday, it's not going to be as fast, so we're going to be used to seeing the pitch coming in faster. So now instead of being behind it, now we're going to be ahead of it.
Okay.
That's interesting. Hey, real quick, you got to imagine, if you're the Buffalo Bills fan or if you're a Buffalo Bills player, you got to imagine that now that Tua's gone down, that's got to open up the division wide open for them at this point.
Well, and the Bills look better than I thought they were going to.
Yeah,
they sure did. They looked a lot better than what I thought they were going to look.
James Cook looked really good last night.
Yeah, no, like I think I valued them lower than I should have.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were going to take a bigger step back on defense than they did. And the offense seems to be working. Now, granted, they're playing the Dolphins that don't really play an inspired brand of defense. So, whatever. But it still, I think the Bills look better than I thought they were going to.
They play a very inspired brand of defense. It's called the bend and break a lot, not the bend and don't break.
With Fangio gone, do you think that that's going to be a rough spot for them all the way around?
I do because they didn't address the needs that they had. You look at last year when they were winning the division, then they lost Bradley Chubb that went down, and then they lost their other linebacker in week 15. And all of a sudden, their defense couldn't stop a cold the rest of the year.
Xavier Howard went down too, or wasn't there either, right?
Yep. He was gone for 3 weeks.
Then they end up trading a couple of their key pieces away. I mean, this defense is worse than it was last year, and it wasn't good last year.
They lost Andrew Van Ginkel to Minnesota. He was their best linebacker outside of Chubb last year, but he was really the quarterback of the defense. He was the play caller on defense, and they don't have him. They didn't do anything to replace him. You lost one of the best defensive coordinators in Vic Fangio. You did nothing to replace him, and you didn't do anything to even add more depth to that team. You lost Christian Wilkins, who was your run stopper on the line. You let him go to Vegas, and you didn't do anything to replace him.
I mean, and then you outside of players, just closing out the first half, what were they even doing? They had the ball with 3 minutes to go. They absolutely needed a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they did some of the worst clock management ever and have to settle for a field goal. I mean, it's almost like they were trying not to win that game. I mean, if you have 3 minutes to get down the field, you can methodically do it. Nobody is hustling to the ball at all. And then ultimately you settle for a field goal in a game where you're down 3 scores. Like it didn't make any sense at all. I'm not sure what McDaniel was doing. I kept expecting him to like pull the mask off and be Brandon Staley, like Scooby-Doo style kind of stuff. Just like, there's no way that the guy that we saw calling games well last year did this. Because I mean,
if you heard his comments this morning too, it almost seems like he's already punting on the season. Because if Tua has to miss multiple games, which the more concussions you have, the longer it takes you to come back from them because of the severity of it. He basically said, we're not looking for a quarterback. Skylar Thompson's our guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, all things being equal, because they played on Thursday night, they have 10 days for him to clear protocol. And you can clear it within a week. So 10 days isn't outside the realm of possibilities. Just because we don't know how severe that concussion was, right? So it makes you think it was kind of bad, being as they didn't take him to the blue tent at all. Like they picked him up off the field and they're like, yeah, we're going to the locker room. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's one that they'd come right back from. But again, it's 10 days before they have to come to Seattle. That being said, I don't know if that's the team that you want to see coming fresh off a concussion. Because, I mean, the defense was flying around.
Hey, who knows? He might be the left-handed Daniel Jones after this.
Ow.
Wow.
He was horrible before he got concussion.
He looked like Daniel Jones. He looked like Daniel Jones last night. So.
Yeah, well, he looked worse than Daniel Jones, actually. I mean, the first interception, I will say, was more the receiver's fault.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
But after that, the second interception, that was right to the guy. And you could say, oh, well, the guy was, the receiver was supposed to turn in and he turned up. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean, he just overthrew him by 10 yards. I mean, the safety was just sitting there. He was just like, oh, I mean, thanks, right? And then, of course, the third one was the dumbest throw ever. But, yeah, the first one was the receiver just not even looking for the ball, hits him in the shoulder. I mean, if you tip a ball, that's going to the other team 90% of the time. That's why you do tip drills on defense.
Well, and there was, three of them, like, right around the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he had the guy, though. Like, if the receiver was paying attention, that's a catch. So, I mean, that one definitely wasn't Tua's fault. But, yeah, the other two absolutely were.
And if you're lucky enough in fantasy football to have the Bills as your defense, that was like a mecca of a good payday.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I realized that I had Miami as my defense and couldn't get it out because before the game started, I'm like, oh shit, I got Miami. Let me get rid of them. I just take anybody. There's like, nope, you're locked in because I did it with like 3 minutes left before the game.
Oh wow.
I gotcha. And Rob, it'll really depend on what happens over the next 5 days. The fact that they played on Thursday definitely gives them enough time to come to Seattle and play. But you might be right. They may sit him for a week regardless.
I can't imagine that man traveling anywhere other than staying in Miami and getting medical attention. I mean, I cannot imagine this guy traveling.
Well, I mean, it just depends on, the grade of the concussion that it was, right?
Right.
I mean, they were already getting smoked in this game and he looked terrible. So they may have just taken him to the locker room, just like, you know what, dude, you're not going to win anyway. We're pretty sure you got a concussion. Let's just pack it in.
Yeah. And
It was official. He did have a concussion.
Yeah, it only took him.
Oh, he has a concussion. Did you see his hands after that? His hands were even doing weird stuff. It wasn't quite as the first time, but he had some weird movements in his hand. He was not all the way there.
Yeah, according to Amazon people, I can't remember the sideline reporter or whatever her name is, but apparently when they were asking him questions in the locker room, he didn't even know his own name.
Oh,
I mean, that seems good. That seems good. So yeah, he's definitely not playing next week. I didn't hear that soundbite. So yeah, I mean, if that's the case, it makes sense to take him to the blue tent.
And let's be honest, they're backing quarterback Thompson. I mean, this guy's horrible. So, and if you're the Miami Dolphins at this point, do you start going and trying to bring in an old veteran to see if he can salvage at least something out of it?
Well, I mean, if you're paying attention to McDaniel's statement there, it sounds like they're not interested in that.
Well, yeah, if I'm Miami, though, I would, because you can't, at this point, yes, Tua is your franchise quarterback, but at the same time, he is now your franchise liability also, because you don't know how long that guy's going to be out there, because even if he comes back from this concussion, one big hit that he takes, even if it's not like a hit to the head, but like one hit where he gets hit in the chest and he gets driven into the ground really hard, every time his head kind of like snaps back, you're like, oh shit, is this another one? Or oh shit, is this another one? Like you need some sort of insurance policy on that bench now behind him, because Skylar Thompson is not your insurance.
Yeah, he's not the guy. I mean, if what McDaniel's plans on doing, not the guy.
Your insurance policy is called offensive tackles. Like, go get some dudes.
But I mean,
maybe Tua should have got them some Rolex watches or something to protect him better.
2 years ago they had Teddy Bridgewater as his backup, which Teddy Bridgewater is not a great quarterback, but at least that's a insurance policy that you can rely on.
He's a lot better than Thompson.
Success. Yeah.
I mean, all joking aside, though, even if he stayed upright the entire game, a ton of credit goes to that Bills defense, because they couldn't get anybody open.
Yeah.
You got some of the fastest guys in the league, and no one could get open all day.
And it was good to see Von Miller back out on the field too. I mean, I'm glad to see him back out on the field, and he did well yeah.
He's done beating up women.
Well, hey, I mean, it is what it is.
For today's game, anyway. Looked like he was playing in handcuffs. Yeah, ankle cuffs maybe. Like for whatever reason, he just could not get separation. Like it was a great defensive strategy that the Bills had to shut that offense down.
Well, they need to come back. They did they win last week? Are they 2-0 now?
The Bills?
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat Arizona. No, they beat Arizona.
No, yeah, you're right. They are 2-0. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but both teams came in 1-0, as I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bills beat Arizona last week, and the surprising thing is they didn't look that good against Arizona.
Right.
Arizona is going to be a scrappy team. Like they're going to play teams tough. They're going to lose a lot of games, but they're going to play tough.
They'd probably do better if they could get Marvin Harrison figured and Kyler Murray combination figured out. They do a hell of a lot better.
Job. It's not his job to get the guy the ball, even if
I give you all this damn money, but yet it's not your damn job. I get it. It's the American way. Give me the money, but don't ask a whole hell of a lot from me. I get it. It's how all Americans are.
Well, hey, listen, he doesn't want to study either. No playbook for him.
No, just study is overrated, Pags. Come on, who does that anymore?
It should be a side quest in Call of Duty where you sneak into a house and then you have to play Madden in Call of Duty.
Man,
if I'm Arizona, I send Kyler Murray a copy of Madden 25 with a customized playbook and be like, here, you like to play video games so much and not study? Play freaking Madden. Here's our damn playbook. Use the damn plays.
Yeah. And Rob, it wouldn't be a bad idea, honestly, if they went and got Tannehill. It'd be a hell of a lot better than what they have right now.
Tannehill, he won't go back.
Dead in Tennessee.
Tannehill will not go back to Miami for how that exit ended.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you really think that? I mean, if it's a way back in the NFL for him, you don't think he's going to take a shot at it? Come on.
They'd be better off. They'd be better off to get Fitzpatrick back out of the booth.
I was thinking that too. Hey, I was thinking that too.
Tannehill hates Stephen Ross. He will not go back to Miami. Even if it means he sits an entire year and doesn't play, he will not go back to Miami.
There's always a number.
And he's not a Packer yet.
That's what I'm saying. You can't tell me there's not a damn number that brings his ass back. I mean,
he's not a Packer yet. Come on.
Yeah, because the Packers. Well, let's get it. Let's get into that. Now, since I'm in Wisconsin, so Matt LaFleur has been saying all week that Jordan Love can possibly play on Sunday. Which, if that's the case, the Packers are effing stupid because that looked a lot worse than what it is. But I think more of it is the whole gamesmanship part of it, where if you say Jordan Love has a possibility to play, not only do the Colts have to prepare for Malik Willis, but they also have to prepare for Jordan Love, not knowing which quarterback they're going to see.
Would you really care if you're going to get some Malik Willis?
See, because here's what you can do. Here's what exactly you're preparing. If that's the case, then you just prepare for Jordan Love, and you just hope that Malik Willis is going to play.
Yeah, exactly.
You're prepared.
I mean, if they play Malik Willis, that's a gift for the opposing team, honestly.
Well, they don't have another options. Either Malik Willis, who's got 4 career starts, or it's Sean Clifford, who has 0 career starts and looks terrible.
Well, they both look terrible. So
yeah, even if the Packers were to sign Ryan Tannehill, he's not going to be ready to play for 2 weeks because he's going to have to learn that play.
No,
right. At this point, it's Malik Willis this week and next week, no matter what.
I mean, I don't know. Baker did it on 3 days, won a game, right? Yeah, the thing that's funny about Joe's comment here is we're already down 2 of the big contracts that happened in this offseason. So now we just need Lawrence to get hurt, and it's a clean sweep.
See, you just jinxed him. You just jinxed him.
I mean,
hey, if you're a Houston Texans fan, that's fine. They'll take the jinx.
Based on last year, they were all going to get hurt anyway. I mean, they only started 65 different quarterbacks last season.
It's amazing how many Indianapolis Colts fans are in Green Bay today, knowing that Malik Willis is playing this weekend.
I mean,
there's a lot more people. There's a lot more fans here than I thought there was going to be.
Well, to be fair, I was thinking the Colts might win anyway. So
I was too, but now instead of going against Jordan Love, you're going against Malik Willis. They traveled pretty well this weekend, I must say.
Well, you know why? Because it's so much better to travel to Green Bay in September than it is in October or November or December.
And there's a free concert tonight at Lambeau Field that people can enjoy. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh really? What's the free concert?
Counting Crows.
Oh, damn. Yeah, there's a reason why it's free.
Counting Crows is that cassette tape back in the day they would give you with the free when you bought your car. They give you that free tape. That's kind of what you get. You get that free Counting Crows tape.
They had a country singer that was the free concert. It was actually a pretty popular country singer, but I don't listen to country, so I never heard of the person.
Okay.
But he was really popular. You just don't listen to country. You don't know his name.
He's got 3 like Grammys, so I know he's a popular country singer. I just can't remember who he is because I don't.
He can't be that popular if you don't even know his damn name.
I don't listen to country.
He's a Vikings fan, okay? Like he. So I don't know that I don't know that Love will be back soon. The initial report was 4 to 6 weeks. The fact that they're saying, if they did say that he might play this week, that just, it's probably gamesmanship. I don't think anybody really believes that because MCL strains are not generally here. Let me just hop back up and go, especially when you have to plant on that foot. Like it doesn't make sense that he would be back this week. Especially when the Colts actually have a pretty good pass rush with DeForest Buckner and some of those guys. You don't really want him out there if he's not 100%. Yeah, no, it's I don't see Love playing this week. So if your friend is either a Green Bay fan or they have him on their fantasy team, I would start someone else.
Yeah, I definitely would start somebody else.
That being said, that gets us to the halfway point. Brought to you in part by True Fusion Gym. Free 5-day pass if you hit the QR code on the screen. Pilates, boot camp, yoga bar. They have hot rooms. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. And of course, if you are into sports betting, you can hit Bet Us QR code also on the screen there. 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantees. And so sign up today. You can bet alongside Coast to Coast. All right. So we have a lot of games this weekend.
So who do you start if you have Jordan Love and Daniel Jones as your quarterbacks?
I mean, first off, if you have Daniel Jones as your quarterback,
You're
you
screwed.
get hit in the head with a bat because I'm assuming that's your team.
My son did a fantasy football league for his grade also, so he's got 2 teams. And the person he plays this week has Jordan Love as their starter and then Daniel Jones as their backup.
Your son's team or the other team?
The other team.
So
And I was like, Daniel Jones had negative points last week as a quarterback. So at this point, you might as well just leave Jordan Love in because 0 is bigger than negative.
Yeah, man, I would be hitting. I would just be drudging the basement looking for a different quarterback.
What about Bryce Young? Bryce Young's not even available out there. He can go grab or somebody. I mean, it's better than he's gotten there currently.
I mean, I would throw Taysom Hill in there. He'll probably accidentally throw a pass during a game.
I mean, how many quarterbacks are out there? There's got to be a quarterback on the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
The kid he's facing is a Giants fan, which is why he took Daniel Jones. He's just not stupid enough to start him. But
I mean, I would actually feel more comfortable starting Drew Lock, who doesn't get the start this week.
yeah, because negative.
Yeah, I would too, to be honest with you.
So, Joe, I'm taking Washington here. I do not believe in the Giants in any way, and Daniel Jones is an absolute liability. So I can't say enough about how bad this Giants team looked and how bad they probably will be this year. The only team they'll probably finish the season in front of is the Panthers.
Yeah,
I don't even think that.
It's bad when your team looks worse than what their uniforms are. Because the Giants uniforms were horrible that day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the 100-year anniversary thing. Yeah.
And they're like I said, they may get their first touchdown of the year this week, but I'm also not counting on it.
So when you're looking at more pick sixes than touchdowns thrown, Daniel Jones shouldn't start on a roster, whether it's actually in the league or on your fantasy team. In zero scenario should he be a starter.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I mean, but let's go with the Giants because they're the smart ones. They did such a great job keeping Barkley. Oh wait, they didn't do that either. Yeah, I mean, let's instead of spending money on the running back, let's maybe add it to the offensive. Oh yeah, we didn't do that either.
Yeah. Other things.
Yeah, let's but let's keep it, Mr. I get tackled by the 19-yard line, Daniel Jones. I like that guy.
I mean, if nothing else, you should probably keep your defensive coordinator because it was like the one good thing. Oh, wait, I didn't do that either.
Right. And you know what I love about Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones looks like he would be the guy that plays Eli Manning in the Eli Manning movie.
That's fair.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean it's you almost feel bad for some Giants fans.
I don't.
Aren't the Giants?
I mean, of course you don't, but it's
playing each other in Germany too.
What's that?
Aren't the Giants and Panthers playing each other in Germany too?
It could be.
Well, I'm not sure who the Germany game is.
I think the Germany game is the Giants and Panthers, and everyone was laughing about that game because the Germans will never want football back.
I mean, right?
It's the toilet bowl.
That's the game. Really is the game. Which I'm almost positive it's the Giants and Panthers in Germany. Germany will look at the NFL and be like, "Nope, we don't want it back."
I mean, it's a good thing that Germany has a big NFL following Plus,
May
they
not
have
be-
they also have the German Football League. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like they, and I think they also have some teams in the ELF. So, in the European Football League. So I think they'll be fine in that aspect, but that may be a game where they're not excited about it.
Sure, I know
Yeah.
for sure. I know
Giants
for sure
and Panthers.
Yeah, okay. I knew for sure the Panthers were in Germany, but I was almost positive it was the Panthers versus the Giants in Germany.
It is the Giants and Panthers.
Oh my
God,
Is
that's a
this the
horrible
first,
game.
is this the first game over there that doesn't sell out?
No, I don't think it'll sell out, but that'll probably be the only game this year where I'm not even going to bother watching it on NFL Network because I don't care because the loser's probably getting the number one pick anyways.
What are you talking
Right.
about? That game's going to be great because both teams are so bad. It's probably going to be decent football.
Both teams are so bad that the pilot might leave both teams there,
I mean,
and you can compete with the German football teams over here and see if you can beat them. I'm pretty sure those quarterbacks over there are better than both Daniel Jones and Bryce Young.
well, if nothing else, they could probably grab the guy from the Flag Football League. I mean, he's better than Mahomes, right? So,
Hey, speaking of Mahomes, though, stat guy, did you hear Hollywood Brown now is on the IR for the season due to
He'll be-
surgery. So now, does Xavier Worthy have another repeat performance where he just blows up and has a great, awesome game?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
I
mean, you
mean-
got a bagger.
I mean, he's fast, and realistically, when you watch the first game, he had one rushing touchdown, and then he had a passing touchdown, which was blown coverage. They really
Right.
haven't unleashed him yet to the point where you get the man in single coverage, or you put a single high safety over the top. All he has to do is make one little move on that cornerback to get to the inside, and Patrick Mahomes can throw that ball as far as he can throw it, and you're not going to overthrow him. He will
Right.
catch up to it, or he will draw a pass interference call on the ball be 45 yards downfield anyways.
Because according to the Bengals cornerbacks, they say all Worthy has is speed and nothing else.
According to the other Bengals cornerback, which you weren't on the show yesterday, the other Bengals quarterback basically said Xavier Worthy is not that fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hoping Worthy's on this guide on Sunday.
yeah, absolutely. So this one here makes me laugh that they would fall asleep. It just makes me think of, your dad sitting there falling asleep during a game. You go to change a channel. I was watching that.
I was watching it. What are you talking about?
Just resting my eyes.
No, I wasn't watching. I was listening. I'm focused. I'm in my Zen moment of this game. Okay.
Oh man. So you guys, what's your game of the week coming into this weekend? Like which game are you looking forward to?
I didn't even look at the schedule, to be honest with you.
Mine is probably Minnesota and San Francisco, honestly.
Why?
Just because Sam Darnold looked good, but he played the Giants, so I'm not going to really put too much stock into that yet. I want to see what Sam Darnold does against the 49ers, which is going to be his first real test because then next week they get Houston. But
Okay.
I want to see how Minnesota defends that offense with Christian McCaffrey out. Because as bad as the Giants are, Minnesota's defense looked really good last week. Like Brian Flores had those guys flying around last week. And I'm very curious to see how they defend the 49ers offense because last year, Minnesota gave San Francisco their first road loss in Minnesota. And that was with a healthy McCaffrey. That was with a healthy Debo. That was with a healthy Brandon Ayuk and a healthy Purdy. And I'm not even sure
Yeah,
Kirk
but
Cousins-
but in that game, CMC got hurt, and what's his face? Debo Samuel got hurt.
Yeah, and Kirk Cousins played very well. I think Kirk Cousins was like 27 to 38 for like.
Yeah, it was a
330.
1:00 game,
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a 1:00 game. I think it was a late game.
a 4:00 game.
No, I think
It was
Sunday
not.
night.
No, it was not Sunday night.
No way. It was
Yeah,
Friday.
there were three. No, it was Thursday. It was Thursday night. It was a Thursday night game because I was there. It was a Thursday night game last year when San Francisco came into Minnesota, and Minnesota ended up winning that game on Thursday night.
Did someone just put on a Cousins uniform? Is it like
Probably
I think the
one.
game for me, though, I think the game for me is going to be the Buccaneers and Detroit. And the reason why is I want to see how Baker can handle his first official defensive challenge against Detroit. And if he can come out and if he can show out on a Detroit defense, then that's going to really change my perception of how far this Tampa Bay team can go. But that's going to be the first real test for Baker Mayfield since he's joined the Tampa Bay Bucks, really, to cement, him as a quarterback. He's got to really start defeating the harder teams. And I think this is really his first big challenge.
That's going to be a good game. I do look forward to that one, especially because I'm not a Baker fan, right? Like I think he's way too inconsistent, but he did play well last year. And so I am curious if his inconsistency had more to do with the Browns are the Browns or, and of course him evolving over time. Right. But yeah, it'll be a test because this, obviously the Lions are a good team.
So, for me, I've got a couple that I want to watch. The Saints in Dallas.
Yep.
I want to see how Dallas actually plays. I think the Saints are a little bit better of a team, and especially after they showed out last week against. I just hope they're not sniffing themselves, thinking, "Hey, we just crushed an NFL team." That team was only Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
an NFL team.
And then the 4:00 game is like the Bengals Chiefs. I think that's going to be a real interesting. Yeah, Joe. I don't think it's going to be that close. I mean, I think it's not going to be that big of a battle. I think that Dallas is going to wind up really getting it in that game. I think that it's going to be a much closer game. Dallas could win it, but I think it's going to be like a 2-point game, 3-point game.
See, that score there. Your Dallas Saints is actually what I think this Bengals Chiefs game could end up as.
That could very well be.
Really doesn't play defense. It looks terrible on offense. Their offensive line was terrible, and you're looking at a KC team that, really looks primed to make a run. Just, absolutely destroying people.
And if people haven't realized this yet, I don't know what it's going to take for them to realize that. Anytime Kansas City has any sort of bulletin board material, they usually put it to good use. And if you want to come out here and call Xavier Worthy not as fast as he looks, that's just adding more bulletin board material to that team. Now, I'm not saying Juju Smith-Schuster is like a number one wide receiver or anything. He's going to have an increased role this year. He was in this offense last year and did well. He was been with that team 2 of the last 3 years, and he's done well. He'll have a more increased role this year. So now it's just like, you're getting every single one of these guys more comfortable with every week. And if Worthy does come in and plays the part of what he looked like all training camp and what he looked like during the preseason, you got to kind of stop giving them any more bulletin board material because they're just going to put it to good use and make everyone look silly.
Yeah, especially when you got Rashee Rice on the other side, too. That's going to be huge for those guys.
When you're asking Juju to be your third option slot receiver, that is a pretty awesome trio of people. So,
Kelce, you only had 34 yards receiving last week. He's not going to have too many games where he's under 70 yards receiving.
No, for sure. Yeah.
So, do you think Kelce is going to put up more than just 34 yards against this Bengals team?
Only if they need him to.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I wonder how this is really going to affect his overall fantasy value for Kelce.
Right. So let me ask this question for you guys.
You don't care.
I want you guys to listen well. Here I need to pick 3 of these guys.
Okay.
McLaurin from Washington against the Giants. Devonta Smith against Atlanta for Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Stephon Diggs against Houston, or Houston against Chicago. Xavier Worthy or Williams from Detroit versus
I'm
Tampa.
going Worthy all day. That's just me.
You said you need 3 of them?
I need 3.
I'm going Worthy and Williams for sure.
Yeah, I would go with that.
And then I'd probably go with
I don't like Williams against Tampa Bay, actually. And I think
Stephon Diggs is going to be a big factor. I think Nico Collins and Tank Dell and everybody else kind of bites into him a little bit. So I don't know if I'll go with him.
The biggest thing is the Giants' defense is actually good. Or, the Bears.
The Bears' is legit. I would not be going Diggs against that secondary.
Yeah, I'd probably go McLaurin. I'd probably go McLaurin, Williams, and Worthy if I had to do three.
I go Devontae Smith against Atlanta because Atlanta's secondary is not great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way I would go.
Yeah,
So you'd go McLaurin,
I would.
Smith, and Worthy.
I go Worthy, Smith, and
You said
Williams, but-
Williams.
yeah.
I don't know. I just think going against that Giants defense, I think Jaden's gonna find him better. So that's why I would go with McLaurin.
Well, you got to look at last week though, Jay. Justin Jefferson only had 56 yards against the Giants secondary.
Yeah, I know. I just don't. I think AJ Brown taps into some of Smith's catches. That's why I think I'd go McLaurin.
I don't because Washington doesn't have any other wide receiving options. You can double and triple team Terry McLaurin all day, and they don't have a number two. If you go to Philly, you double team AJ Brown, you're putting Devontae Smith in one-on-one coverage. He was a 1,000-yard receiver last year. He's still going to get his touches.
Right. And I feel like against Atlanta, he's going to get a lot of play.
What did Smith put up last week? What was his points value last week for Smith?
Who was it? How did he get last week? I will tell you right now. He had 12.
12 points. Okay.
11.9.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Packers secondary is not a bad secondary, so he put up 12 points against a pretty decent secondary last week.
Right.
Yeah, he had 84 yards and 7 of his 8 targets.
With Jahan Dotson no longer in Washington and Jahan Dotson being traded to Philadelphia, Washington does not have another wide receiving option other than Terry McLaurin. You can have 2-3 guys on Terry McLaurin the whole game, and Giants really don't have another option, or the Washington doesn't have another option.
Right, but it doesn't matter. The Giants stink.
Yeah.
So, all right, now let me go with running backs. All right, listen to this. I got to pick, again, 3 of the 4. Mixon. What's it? Kyron Williams. Jay Dobbins. David Montgomery.
You're
I think I
going
go. I think I go with Montgomery, Dobbins, and the first one you said.
Mixon.
Yeah, Mixon. Thank you. That's the 3 I would go. I don't know if I'll go with Kyron Williams in LA. I don't know if I'm 100% on that one.
He's playing Arizona. Arizona's terrible against the run.
Yeah, they got actually Kyron Williams is listed as the guy who's going to get the most points out of all of them.
I'd go Kyron Williams for sure against Arizona's run defense. I'd go J.K. Dobbins because aren't they playing Carolina?
They
They are.
He'll run all over them. It's a toss up between the other two because Tampa Bay's got a
Mixon
good
and Montgomery.
Bears and Tampa Bay are pretty much the same thing. They both have really good run defenses, so that's kind of a coin flip.
I'll tell you though, the Houston Texans run defense isn't. I watched them last week. They were my defense, and they got run on pretty good. So I would.
That's Houston, but Houston, he runs for Houston, so he's going to be running against Chicago.
No, I was talking about Montgomery for Detroit. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's got a good run defense, and so does Chicago. That's why that one ultimately becomes a coin flip on who you think.
Yeah, so I would actually go. I would actually go with Mixon there, just because that game's going to be close enough. They're not going to abandon the run.
Right,
and that's who I went with. I'm going with Mixon, Williams, and Dobbins. I'm leaving Montgomery on the bench, and I do have Cook. I picked up Cook, a flyer on Cook, figuring that since he was sitting there in free agency and now he signed with Dallas, it might be worthwhile later on.
Yeah, when Zeke gets hurt, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong though. Shoot.
Yeah. I actually have a really good team, but I lost by 3 points last week. I can't do it this week. I can't lose.
I got rid of my defense that I started last week, and I brought in 2 defenses. Now I got to figure out which one I'm going to start. I got the Colts against the Packers or the Texans against the Bears.
Oh, I'm taking the Colts against the Packers.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, even though the Bears' offense looked like complete shit last weekend.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Bears are bad, but that Colts defense is going to have some opportunities to get some picks.
I think it says the Colts are predicted to get 7.8 and Houston's predicted to get 7.4. So it's kind of just, it is what it is. They're both the same.
Yeah.
'Cause I had Tampa Bay's defense last week. They got me like 12, but this week they were only supposed to get like 3.5 against Detroit. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to keep them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm supposed to crush my team this week, so.
Yeah, who you playing? Like, who do they got?
I'm playing my brother, which is great because he's got Richardson, Derrick Henry, Deontay Swift, Wilson from the Jets, Olave from the Saints, Pitts tight end, Edwards from the Chargers, London from Atlanta, McPherson as the kicker, and the Eagles defense.
His team really isn't all that strong.
No, it is not.
Well, I mean, the thing that's funny is there's opportunities on that team, but Garrett Wilson has to learn how to actually catch a ball from Rodgers, and then the Ravens have to actually.
He did have the first pick in the draft, and he's got Christian McCaffrey, but of course he can't play him.
Brutal.
Dude, I'll tell you, there's some kind of curse in that first pick of the draft. I don't know what it is about that, but it just always seems to end up in injury. At least it has for me anyway.
Who was on the cover of Madden this year?
I know, right? I mean, it is that Madden curse.
I mean,
right?
But interestingly enough, he is already in the lead, -2-0, because I could not get rid of the Dolphins defense. So he's got a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, that's rough. Their defense looked awesome.
Well, actually, their defense wasn't that bad. It was just the fact that, when they score a pick six, that still goes against the defense, because the moment they get that interception, the offense turns to defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you still get busted when the offense gives up 6 points.
Which that's the one part of it that does suck, because what happens if the quarterback just throws a freaking terrible pass and the pass is just jumped and all of a sudden the guy's got 30 yards of open field? It's just really? You're going to put that against my defense with nobody?
Exactly, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, seriously, really?
That is exactly. He's like, hold on, let me just throw it up in the air because I'm about to get sacked. Oh, that goes right into a Buffalo player's hand because he was the only one standing out there. There wasn't anybody around him for 8 yards. He's like, hold on, I got a fair. This isn't a punt. We can't do fair catches here. I'll just walk it into the end zone.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's like the Colorado-Nebraska game from last Saturday. That first pick six that Shedeur Sanders threw, it got picked off at the 5-yard line. How can you put that on the damn defense or take points away from your defense when the guy picked it off at the 5?
Yeah.
By the time the receiver's at the 10-yard line, he gets picked off at the 5. What do you think is going to happen? Unless he trips and falls at the 5 and doesn't move, that he can walk into the end zone.
I mean, you can almost trip and fall at the 5 and still get in the end zone.
Just roll in before anybody touches you.
Exactly.
Okay. If you hit the ground, you're down.
Yeah, in college.
So at least run a little bit.
So, and hey, Robert, if you're still here, I think we officially. I think it's officially pizza time, right? I think you guys can't catch it. I think you officially can't catch me anymore.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah.
Let me confirm this.
Lost out and we won out. We might.
74 and 73. So you have what? 17 games left?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So that's 91.
15 games. You said there's 74 and 73?
74 and 73.
They have 15 games left because the best they can do is 89 and 73.
Oh, so you still have one game. You have one game left because we're at 88 and 58.
I feel like this could be my year for fantasy, though. Listen to my squad. This is what I'm running this week. So I got Prescott, Elliott.
Nope. Loser.
It's already
Loser.
a wrap. It's already a wrap.
Hey, hold on a minute. Hold on.
You got Cowboys on that
okay. So, Pags, let me ask you this. I have Dak Prescott against New Orleans, and I also have Mayfield against Detroit. I know Bo had said go with Dak, which is kind of the way I'm leaning, but I'm curious to see how you would play that.
It's early in the year.
Yeah, I probably would go with Dak there.
I'd go Baker, honestly, because Detroit's secondary was their liability last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't think so.
Detroit actually tried to shore some of that up. So we'll see if it worked. But yeah, it's early in the year. Dak isn't going to fall apart yet. Now, this is why I laugh that you think you're going to win your fantasy league, because when does the championship happen? Oh, December.
No, I'm not saying I would. I'm saying I feel good about my team more than I did last year. I'm just listen. Hold on. So I'm going with Dak Prescott. I'm going with Ezekiel Elliott, James Cook, which had the big monster game yesterday. I got CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Likely as my tight end, Worthy, Bass as my kicker, and then the Steelers because they're going up against Bo Nix. I feel like that's a pretty good lineup.
Really, you have too many Cowboys on your team.
Well, I had to get Zeke because by the time it came around to drafting a third running back, he was, kind of the only one really that was there left. I did pick up Nick Chubb. I threw him on my reserves, hoping that maybe when he comes back from this injury, maybe, he'll do something, but we'll see.
Yeah, this week I have Mahomes at quarterback. I have Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, and Kenneth Walker as my running backs. Walker's in my flex. I have Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, and DK Metcalf as wide receivers. I have George Kittle as tight end, Justin Tucker at kicker, and Colts at defense.
The only thing about Walker the third, and I think Bo made a really good point about that, was I think Chamberlain is going to take – am I saying his name right? I might say his name wrong. Hell, I don't know. They got some weird, crazy name.
Charbonnet?
Is it Charbonnet? Charbonnet, Charbonnet. Hell, it could be creme brulee for all I care. I'm just saying. I think he taps in, like you said. I mean, after that abdominal injury, I think he taps into that.
Yeah,
and
so it's already where Charbonnet is going to start. So
yeah.
if you have Walker, I wouldn't use him. He hasn't practiced all week at all, which means he may not even necessarily be available Sunday. So yeah. I would not put him in your starting rotation.
So you may want to rethink that when they're stat guy.
I got options.
I got options too.
Well, you got one less option because he's probably not going to play.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
And that's it.
That is it. Wow, we are there. Crazy. All right. Well, if you are watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're hanging around with us, definitely make sure you do both of those things. If you're on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, enjoy the football this weekend. Everybody have a great time. We will see you Monday morning.
Later.